Hello, everybody. Hi, everyone. How are you? It's Moonlight Mason. Come on in. We only have a few more chapters of the history of my insanity with Trisha Paytas. We are on chapter 11, and we are almost done with this book. I actually can't wait to finish this book because I really want to get into the Stripper Diaries. I really, really do. But if you are new to this channel, girl, you coming in on chapter 11. I have been reading this book. You can, if you're interested, go back to chapter 1 if you're interested in Trisha Paytas's 2013 headspace. This will show you where she was. And of course, now it's 2021. And we all know where she's at now. But without further ado, let's get into chapter 11, the year of YouTube. After another summer of me sitting on my butt doing nothing productive, I tried to find a hobby I could do every day to occupy my time and my mind. I started putting out YouTube videos every day. I put out videos on everything from how I was feeling to what I was wearing to sketch, comedy, and more. People were responding to my daily videos, and I started to double in views on a weekly basis. Well, that's nice. As I got more followers, I was inspired to do more and put out. I loved the feedback I got from people who watched my videos. I saw that I was helping a lot of people and entertaining them. How she would be helping them in 2013, if you know her videos back then, would be interesting to know from her perception. From her perception, I would love to know how she was helping people. It was so fun to have people come back every day to watch me and see what was happening in the life of Trish. I was able to support myself just barely by making videos and doing my TV jobs whenever I could. My peace of mind came back, and I really felt like I was doing something with my life and actually helping others. I focused on acting jobs and got more exposure. I got calls from TV shows after they saw my business email on a video. I got called to be on a few talk shows with my fast talking talent, and it was a wonderful chain of events. I'd put a YouTube video up, and producers would see it and find me and put me up on their show, and in turn, people would see me on the show and come and find me on YouTube. The popularity really kept escalating, and I loved it. I was performing, and even though I wasn't rich, I was able to keep my dignity, keep my clothes on, and still earn money. I also got my first sponsorship in 2011. Someone was actually going to pay me to test out and talk about their product in my video. I was on cloud 9. I thought I had really made it. And I think that sponsorship is Adam and Eve. I'm not really sure, but I believe that Adam and Eve is one of Trisha Paytas's first sponsorship. And she still does her Adam and Eve. In September 2011, almost 2 years after I had met Mr. Perfect, he surfaced in the news for being arrested for disturbing the peace in his neighborhood. Seeing him all over these gossip sites again made all those passionate memories come rushing back. I still had his email and decided to reach out to him just to see if he was okay. I can't recall exactly what I said, but it was something along the lines of, "You may not remember me. We dated briefly, but I just wanted to make sure you were okay." And I signed it Trish. He emailed me back the next day to my surprise and said thank you. And he said he was out of town focusing on his writing and that he'd be back in town that weekend if I wanted to get together. I was besides myself with excitement. He sent me an email the Saturday morning he got back. He explained he wasn't dating anyone, and if I wasn't, we should go out for breakfast. I called him back right away and said yes, and to save my new number. He texted me about a half hour before I was going to leave, saying how excited he was to see this, and he texted me a picture that wasn't me. I was crushed. This roller coaster that Mr. Perfect put me on was fast. I text back and I said, that's not me. Let's do a rain check for today. He apologized and he said he thought it was another Trish, and he begged me not to reschedule. He asked for a picture to help him remember. I will say this, Mr. Perfect is a big pothead. He smokes a lot of marijuana and his memory is not great. At times he'd ask where his keys were when he was holding them, or he couldn't remember a movie we had just seen the day before. I wanted to see him again, and secretly, I wanted to have sex with him again. I sent a picture. I said I would come under the conditions that we were meeting only as friends and that he had to tell me where we met first so I would know he really knew who I was. He got it exactly right, which helped my bruised ego a little bit. I didn't care. We had breakfast and we went back to his beautiful beach house. He started to kiss me and get on me. I tried to resist and play hard to get. I stopped him and said we should catch up or talk first. That didn't last long. We were right back to where I had remembered. Lots of passion and lovemaking, and it was wonderful. Sex is wonderful when it is with the right person. As we started back together, it was even kinkier than I remembered. He had dog collars and leashes and whips, and I loved all of it. He was so dominating, and that's what I liked. I liked to make him jealous because it showed he cared. As I'm writing this in early 2013, I still have his voicemail on my phone from the day we reconnected. It's his deep and sexy voice saying, "Hello, baby. I'm so happy you came back to me. I love you." I gushed at the table with my mom. She noticed how much happier I was. Mr. Perfect really pulled out the stops this time around. He took me to Newport Beach within the first week of us getting back together. It was amazing. He even wanted to meet my mom and sister. This was a sign that he was serious to me. He occasionally went to New York City for a few days at a time to visit family. I kept an open mind. I told myself I would be okay if he was seeing someone else, and that I wasn't going to flip out if I found out that he was dating another girl. Funny, because she just talked about this. She just talked about this on Frenemies. And she was saying that this is the guy, Mr. Perfect, that was shooting bullets, like shooting a gun at her head, but missing, and that he did this with a lot of people he dated. This is who she is talking about. Yet, let us see if any of it is mentioned here in this chapter. I didn't want to snoop, but I did. We were friends on Facebook, and he only had about 30 people on there, including his mom and his sister. I looked on sites to see if he was seen anywhere with anyone. He continued to do Comic Cons, and I saw him with his arms around girls in those cities. I was hurt, after all. That's how he wooed me at a Comic Con. He asked me to come with him on occasion, but I did have to keep generating income with little jobs here and there. One day I read on a message board that he was seen at a restaurant with his girlfriend in Boston. It kind of hurt, but I pushed it aside because I didn't want him to cut off communication with me again. He was always great about texting. He texts me a dozen times a day. It was so nice to be thought of. He'd come back to LA, I'd pick him up at the airport, and it was right in the world again. And this is what this guy did everywhere. Some girl picks him up in the airport and he just stays with them. Okay, here we go. I contracted some more STDs from him, and when I confronted him about it, he apologized and offered money for my medication and doctor's visits. Yes, I still continued dating him. I was upset because I was no longer stripping or escorting, and I was only having sex with him, but I still caught some stuff. Who do you think you caught it from? I asked him if he could just tell me if he was sleeping with other girls, so I knew to use a condom with him. He never told me, but I knew. I knew because I saw that other girls had logged onto Facebook from his computer, and their emails were still there, but I never had to see them, and he still spent the majority of his free time with me. I guess if I wasn't available, he had backups. He still was Mr. Perfect because he still talked about marriage and babies, which he probably did with all of them, Trisha. I knew he cared for me, and he shared his whole life with me. He told me all about his problems from childhood to now, really intimate details that I couldn't imagine him sharing with every floozy. He had a lot of issues with his mother, and I think trust issues in general. I could relate. To this day, I don't trust any men, not one. I sabotage relationships before they even start because I know in my head it's going to end in a heartache. I don't blame him for his womanizing ways. I blame myself for not thinking I deserved better. In my heart, I wanted him to change, but I knew that he wouldn't. I was desperate to keep him. When I saved enough money, I finally got my breast augmentation and lift in January 2012. If anything solidified his love and care for me, it was my recovery. Mr. Perfect stayed with me in bed every night and catered to me every day. He bought me magazines and food, and we watched TV. He had to go shoot a TV show for a week in Canada, and that week he was gone when I experienced complications with my surgery. He had to go shoot a TV show for a week in Canada, and that week he was gone was when I experienced complications with my surgery. I had gotten an infection from sweat going into the stitches. This was my second time in my life that I thought I was going to die for sure. I got chills and I couldn't breathe. Every day that passed, I felt like I was being buried alive, like my lungs were closing. My surgeon gave me antibiotics and demanded an immediate checkup. He changed the wrapping and I felt better, but he told me to take it easy. When Mr. Perfect came back, it was close to Valentine's Day, and I really wasn't supposed to be out and about, but I didn't want to lose him. When he asked if I'd go on a business trip with him to Palm Springs, I said yes. I couldn't even bathe myself or lift my arms to do my hair, but I agreed. Now, come on, you guys. Now for real. See, it's things like this. She says she just had surgery. She was still recovering. The doctor told her to take it easy. She can't bathe herself or lift her arms to do her hair, but she agreed to go on a business trip to Palm Springs with Mr. Perfect. Does that make any sense to anyone? How are you gonna, let's see how she does this. I mean, let's proceed. We haven't had sex in about a month, so on the trip, we had pretty vanilla sex, which I shouldn't have been doing, and sure enough, the stitches in my right boob popped open. We drove back on Valentine's Day, and Mr. Perfect took me to my surgeon's office in Beverly Hills. I had to go and get another surgery the next day to take out a little bit of the implant and get stitched back up. Mr. Perfect drove me to my surgery early in the morning, and he took me back to his house. He got me my medications and took the best care of me. I felt like he really loved me. He was okay not having sex with me either when I said I was scared of popping my fresh stitches. To me, this was what made him different. I didn't know the relationship wasn't healthy with the cheating and lying, but I loved him. It's true what they say. The heart wants what the heart wants. At the tail end of my recovery, Mr. Perfect got a big acting role in a movie produced by a major studio, and he had to go shoot in Romania for a month. I was so happy for him because I knew he was struggling with his life in Hollywood and his position as an actor, whether he was relevant, blacklisted, a joke. It was a great script with a great cast, and I had to stay back to get my stitches out. But a week after he got there, he asked for me to come over and be with him. I had planned on doing just that, especially since he was going to be over there alone for his birthday. But I had to postpone it due to my call for America's Got Talent. America's Got Talent had contacted me via YouTube channel for many seasons to do my first fast talking Has Talent. Knowing I would get booed for doing that live on national TV, I had declined many times until Howard Stern was announced as a judge. When they contacted me yet again to come on the show, I agreed. Mr. Perfect had actually driven me to the first audition for producers earlier that year. I told him I would come over after my audition in Texas, Austin, Texas. On the night before my audition, I checked Mr. Perfect's Facebook page. A girl who had commented, "I love you," before on his page wrote something along the lines of how amazing it was to have been to see him before he left and to hurry back to her. It was the last straw for me. I couldn't keep doing this to myself. I bawled my eyes out and just thought of how awful I must be that he had to cheat on me. She wasn't pretty, she was plain, but it still was a dagger to my heart. Oh, those are the things that bought. She wasn't pretty, she was plain, but it still was a dagger to my heart. Wow. Oh my God. Oh, this girl. When he called me that night before my audition, I asked him point blank if he saw this girl, and he said yes. I broke down. He tried to calm me down and said that he hadn't slept with her, but she had messaged me saying that she had. He met her after we got back together, and that was the most painful part. I wasn't good enough for him. I wasn't ever going to be. He was a liar like me, and he just didn't care about me the way I did about him. I told him to never contact me again. The next day I went to audition for the judges on America's Got Talent. After hysterical tears and angry emails to Mr. Perfect the night before, I pulled it together and got my character, Trish, ready. I was sent there to meet Howard and get people to notice me, and I did. From the first moment of being backstage to stepping on stage to dancing with Howard to the moment I got in the van to go to the airport to go home, I blacked out the whole experience. When my family asked me how it went, what I had said to Howard, what had I done, I said, I don't know, because I really didn't know. I was terrified to see it air because I had no recollection of doing or saying any of the things that I did. It turned out to be harmless, and it got me a lot bigger audience on my YouTube channel. And of course, I got to meet another one of my idols. See, I told you I have a knack for meeting people I want to meet. It'll happen one way or another. YouTube was there for me as a form of therapy to occupy my mind and time. It also allowed me to start saving. I'd never saved money in my life, but I made it a point to put away half of my paychecks from YouTube just to be smart. I did continue to talk to Mr. Perfect. I apologized for lashing out at him, and he apologized as well. I could feel us drifting, but I enjoyed doing video chats with him while he was on set in costumes. When he came home, we took things slowly. It wasn't as passionate as before. I saw him for my 24th birthday, and we had sex, and that was about it. He got busy, and I sort of just stopped pushing it. He didn't love me, and he didn't even say it anymore. I felt myself getting crazy on him. I made random lies about going to get married in Boston and a bunch of other things that made no sense. Oh, wow. This has been going on a long time. I didn't like that I had to lie to him to get his attention or to keep him in my life. I was even confusing myself with all the lies. I started reading the other girls' Facebook post as well, and eventually I just let him go. And he did the same. I tried to start fights to get him to talk to me. I think the last one was about a sweater. I left at his house, and if he didn't send it back to me, I was going to get a police escort to come and get it. That was probably it for him as well. I really had lost my mind at that point. What I was doing was nothing a sane person would do. This was early June, the summer, and I was prepping for the season of depression. I decided to seek help, professional help. I took some of the money I was earning from YouTube and started to see a therapist. The therapist referred me to a psychiatrist, and after a few months, he referred me back to the therapist. I justified spending the money on something that seemed silly to me by taking the advice I was getting from therapy and sharing it with my YouTube audience. A win-win for everyone. Isn't that interesting? That's exactly what she's doing now. That's exactly what she's doing now. She's in all this therapy, she's doing all this stuff, and she's making videos and sharing it with us. Therapy helped a lot with every aspect of my life. It was an unbiased listener who told me my feelings were okay, that crying was okay. Throughout my childhood and teen and adult years, everyone dismissed my feelings. I was always told I was overdramatic. I lied too much. I wasn't worth listening to, and my emotions were out of control. It was validating to hear another human being, 3 actually, say my emotions are totally justified. I have a lot of issues to deal with. I'm still dealing with them. What, we have a helicopter like just circling, so I hope it's not too loud, but I can hear it. Sorry. I have a lot of issues to deal with. I'm still dealing with them. My therapist helped me realize what my relationships were about in the past and how to make them better in the future. Between therapy and church, I realized I was worth more than I gave myself credit for, that God has forgiven me for my sins, but now it's time to forgive myself. I moved out of my mom's and sister's apartment into my own beach house at the end of the summer, and I felt happy. I felt like I truly had broken my summer depression cycle by seeking help. After moving out, my relationship with my mother and sister strengthened. We see each other a few times a week and talk every day, while each of us still has her space. I talk to my father almost every day, and we just talk about the now and not about the past. My brother is still my rock in my life. He's always there to listen. He has found a great job and a great fiance, and I'm so happy for his happily ever after. Me? Well, I'm still waiting for mine. Living on my own and on the beach is a dream come true. My backyard is the ocean. I have a walk-in closet and a princess-style living room fully furnished with a bed and everything. I'm sitting on my big couch watching the sunset and drinking a glass of wine from my bar. The past 6 months or so of living on my own has brought clarity to my head. I no longer have to depend on anyone. I'm secure in my finances and in my career. I'm always looking to better myself. But as of now, I'm happy. My YouTube is booming and people are being entertained. Love me or hate me, you're watching me and giving me attention. It's what I like, but not what I need. We're going to finish because it's chapter 12. It's just one page and then we're done with the whole book. I didn't know we were going to be done with the whole book, but let's finish, okay? Chapter 12, to be continued. Who's ready for the sequel? I know I am, except God has not written it yet. I'm sorry, but there's no fairy tale ending for this book. I wish I could say I'm exactly where I want to be. I don't think I'm quite there yet, but I will say I'm having fun on this journey called life. I am at peace with my family, and after this book, I can finally let go of the past. I don't dwell on the past because I can't change it. I can only focus on the present because that's what I'm living. My relationship status is single, but the most important relationship I've ever had, my relationship with Christ, is stronger than ever. I'm still in therapy, but not as often. I am receiving help for my food addiction and shopping addiction. I've abstained from sex for the past 8 months to wait for the right guy. That's not true, you guys. That is not true. Trust me, Trisha would never go 8 minutes. And here she, or 8 days. Seriously. She hasn't had sex for the 8 months to find the right guy. She's a sex addict. I am proud of what I have accomplished on my own and I see my worth. And my body will be a gift to someone who's worthy, not someone who is paying me or someone who is passionate. I am no longer seeking love, but if love finds me, I will not be afraid. So I don't know what happened to these words that she wrote in 2013. Okay, but everything has been the complete opposite of what her desires were, let's say. These are authentic desires of hers. She says, I'm slowly learning to trust people again. Even if someone has broken my trust, I will not hold that against the next person who comes into my life. I'm working on being a bit more extroverted as well. Extroverted? I'm currently in an improv class, and it's one of the most fun things I've done in my life. I'm expanding the brand that is Trish with my online clothing boutique, in which I work with my dad on my very own online clothing boutique. My very own perfume will be out this year. Oh, and hey, did I mention I'm writing another book? She did come out with a perfume. I remember that. I don't remember any more details about the perfume, so if you guys do, let me know in the comments below. But I do remember that Trisha came out with a perfume. Okay. No longer am I plagued by self-doubt. Your dreams are actually easy to achieve. I've always wanted to write a book, and now I've written a book. I wanted to make a career out of entertaining people, and now I am. I can no longer go in public without at least 3 young girls coming up to me and saying how excited they are to see me in person and that they watch me on YouTube every day. It tickles my heart. And if all this were to go away tomorrow, the fact that I got to experience such love and attention is plenty for me. I don't know how you will feel after reading this book, but after writing it, I feel inspired. Perhaps it comes off as bitter at points, and maybe it's depressing, or maybe you're sickened by the things I've done. I'm sure some people are convinced I've lost my mind, but I honestly look back and think, Trish, you've made yourself happy in your own life, and that's important. My family is healthy, and so am I. I can't ask for any more. I do pray that you all find happiness as well. Life really is a journey. Try not to worry so much about where you end up. Just enjoy what's happening now and enjoy the people you're with. Please yourself first and foremost and do what makes you happy. Take chances and keep the faith. Life is short. Life is hard, but life is also beautiful. You wake up today with air in your lungs, so you know you are here on this earth for a reason. You have purpose and you are loved. Go out and inspire. Go out and live. Go out and love. Thank you all for reading this from the bottom of my heart. You've made one of my biggest dreams come true, being a published writer. Thank you for letting me entertain you, and thank you for caring about me for these past few hours or days, or however long it took you to read this. I love you for that. This was quite a trip down memory lane, and I'm excited to share the next part with you all. Stay tuned. To be continued. And that is the end of The History of My Insanity by Trisha Paytas. Now, let me find the next book and introduce the next book. Okay. If you guys did enjoy me reading The History of My Insanity, I encourage you to leave criticisms down below on how I can improve the reading for you. Nothing will be taken, in the wrong way. I'm not going to get offended. I'm here to read this book. I'm going to read this book next. I'm going to be reading The Stripper Diaries by Trisha Paytas. I'm going to be reading this next. And if you are enjoying me reading, let me know how I can improve it. Let me know down below if you're going to stick with me, and we're going to go through this book. Again, it's pretty, it's about the same thin book as the other one. I'm excited about getting into this one. And then from this one, we can go into Jason Nash, 101 poems about Jason Nash. And you know what? Mysterious is doing a video on Jason and Sean. I just don't know when her video is going to come out, because I would like to tie it in with the 101 videos from, 101 poems that Trisha wrote, but I don't know when she's going to do that. So I guess I'll read this one next. Thank you for being here. Like this video, and I will see you in my next read on the Stripper Diaries.